For the weekly segment, today we have her question of the week, where I answer a question of a modern woman that is posted somewhere on social media. And this one is really good, and I had to think about the answer because it's not as simple as you may think. Let me know in the comment section or in the live chat what your answer is. I'm actually quite interested in this, and I'll tell you what mine is as well. But let's listen in.
For single guys or just guys in general. When you were single, or if you're single, you're in a social setting and you want to approach a girl, is it more likely for you to approach a girl that's like a 7 out of 10 or under versus a girl that's 10 out of 10?
Great question. Excellent question. Now, first of all, more and more men now are no longer approaching women. It is such a shitty experience for a lot of
Say
them
this all
that
because I had
they have just stopped doing it altogether. Now, to answer your question, in case of those men who actually do approach women still, then it depends on location. If it is a club or a bar, a place where men go for an easy hookup, then you're probably right. It is much easier to go after a girl who may be not as good looking, but will still do for the night, because she is easier to get there, rather than a girl who is super hot, knows it, requires a bunch of free drinks and simping, and you have to compete with a bunch of men. So, yes. However, if we're talking about more of a regular environment, a coffee shop or an art event, or anywhere where men actually approaching women for a potential relationship, then it actually depends on the girl's how friendly the girl is, right? If the girl is smiling and friendly and her eyes are kind of enjoying the place, it doesn't really matter what she looks like, versus a girl who is on her phone with earbuds, just not realizing there's a universe around her. In that case, I would say it really doesn't matter, but it depends on the girl. It also depends on how she's interacting with her friends and the wait staff and other men who already approached her earlier, because she is that good looking, right? It really depends on all of that. Now, as for me, I will preach the same thing. I believe that no matter where in the world a good looking girl is, we're talking about 8 and above, she has already been damaged by a ridiculous amount of attention and simping and validation and compliments and money. These girls get a lot of money even when they don't ask. So, unfortunately, a girl who is really good looking, 8, 9, and 10, is just no longer dateable. You will never win in a competition with simps, where she's just used to it. She will absolutely not even understand how a man can be interested without showering her with compliments and money. But let's go on and see, because she actually does break down her question, and there's some nuances that I think we should address.
a girlfriend that's like drop dead gorgeous, maybe an 11 out of 10, right?
Right. See, here's the thing. Let us be the judge. A lot of times, when here in Thailand, when people say, "Oh, Alex, I want you to be you're single. I have a single friend. She's gorgeous, right?" And they'll show me the picture, and we'll be like, "Gorgeous? How? What?" So women give each other way too much credit on their looks. Or, for example, if I see she's got tattoos, just the other day, I was told, "Hey, listen, we have a staff member who, just broke up with her boyfriend, and she's actually wants to, get into maybe another relationship." And I was like, "Is she cute? Is she cute?" They showed me the picture. She is cute, but she's got a sleeve tattoo. And I'm like, "How did you not know that this is a complete deal breaker for definitely someone like me?" So when women say, "Oh, my friend is gorgeous," we'll see.
Right? Like perfect body, amazing personality, beautiful.
Another thing about personality. Yeah, she might be really cool as your friend, but she can be a complete fucking bitch to men. So, personality, again, it's for us to judge.
Guys would never talk to her. We would go out, guys never gave her the time of day, would never approach her, never talk to her.
I can tell you that most likely your friend either is a bitch or looks like one, and is extremely unfriendly in general, her aura. That's probably what it is.
I had other friends that were definitely under a 7, maybe under a 5. Constantly guys sending over drinks, guys coming up and approaching them. And my thought is,
Yeah, probably because these women appear to be more friendly. Probably look around the room, and if they see a guy that they like, they will smile. Which, again, nowadays, a lot of men simply would not approach a girl, period. I actually, even here in Thailand, even when you're getting rejected, it's a positive experience here. But generally speaking, I just don't have as much time to approach every girl I like, right? So I only approach girls who would meet me with my eyes, smile, and give me some sort of a estimation of on how my approach is going to go, because I just don't want to waste my time. Or even here, most of the time, the girl will give you your her number, no problem. But then you have a conversation with her and she doesn't reply afterwards. You're like, well, you should have just said no right away, right? So these women being so kind and nice to you here actually sometimes is a negative, because they waste your time. But trust me, I will take that over an experience with a Western woman any day. So but it is, I always need some sort of a validation that, hey, she's friendly, she specifically likes me when she looked at me, then it's worth approaching. Okay.
Is because there's less likely they would get rejected for a girl that's a 7 out of 10 or under versus the 10 out of 10.
Now, listen, some men really do think that way, but there is something in there, right? Because, like I said, girls who are really good looking, they have a lot of guys simping, they have a lot of attention, and unfortunately, they get a lot of money or some money from these guys. So, when you approach this girl, but you're an actual alpha male with self respect, you're not going to throw your money at this girl or compliments. The success rate is much lower because she doesn't even understand. She's like, what's happening? This guy approached me, didn't say compliment or didn't offer me a drink or his money. Like they just go, I don't know what's happening. I'm going to tell you a story. Once she's done we're done with a video that happened literally last night, as I decided to match with a pretty good looking girl. In my book, probably about 7, but I know most guys would think of her as an 8.5. So I'll tell you about that story in a second.
They're afraid that if they approach the 10 out of 10, maybe she'll reject them or not give them the time of day.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. It's not specifically about rejection, because, like I said here, when a girl rejects you, she does it with so much kindness, and you get still a sudden dose of femininity that you kind of enjoy it. It's like, yeah, okay, that wasn't bad at all. On with my day. The problem is a lot of these women are quite fucking rude, and like she even said, that sometimes they don't give these guys time of day, and these guys feel invisible, and all of this. Energy that they've mustered up and bravery to approach a girl, which is very hard for most men, and all of a sudden they're being kicked by the balls for that approach, right? That's unacceptable. I always suggest that men, if a girl is being rude to you after you approach her politely, if she's being rude to you, be twice as rude back. Somebody has to put these women back in their place, and you might as well do it since you're already being rejected. Don't be nasty, right? But be matter of fact. Just basically say, listen, I was very respectful to you, but it sounds like you have a very bad attitude, and maybe you weren't raised very right. But I can suggest to you that maybe you can be a little bit nicer to people. Your life will be a little bit better. But being nasty to a man who came up to you is just ratchet, right? You're not insulting her, right? But you are giving her very much straightforward talk. Feel free to vary that depending. I mean, sometimes girls are so nasty you just want to tell her to fuck off, right? And you should, but that's what's happening a lot. That's why I think these women don't really realize how nasty other women are, including their friends, right? She just said, well, sometimes they don't give them a time of day. Well, that's a problem.
Where they're not going to close the deal there. But if they go for a 7 out of 10 or a 5 out of 10, whatever, it's more likely that they're going to give them the attention. But really, the 10 out of 10 would have given them attention if they would have just approached with confidence, kindness, being a gentleman.
Yeah, but also being 6'2", making a lot of money, buying her a drink, simping, give her a like she's forgetting the most important part. Now, the way I approach good-looking women, well, women who are 8 and above, well, I'll tell you in a second. Actually, let's just finish up with this.
And still been able to get her phone number or start the conversation because she never got approached. She wasn't giving like the resting bitch face or anything like that. She still was interacting with friends. She wasn't on her phone. So just really curious. Let me know in the comments. I want to know what your thought is on this.
Yeah, so look, and she says, well, she doesn't have a resting bitch face, or wasn't on her phone, which is good sign, right? These are the things that we're looking for, for not to happen, really. But again, it's a woman observing another woman. It's really nothing. It's not the same as a man observing another woman. So now let me tell you what happened about last night, right? So I see a profile picture that's pretty good. Now, in general, I know you guys are going to laugh at me, but I am just don't find Thai women, even though I live in Thailand, as attractive as other women. In America, I dated black women, but it is what it is. I'm here, in Thailand for more than just women. This is the best country for me, regardless of that. So I see this girl. I would say she's about a 7 in my book, but I know for other foreigners, she's probably 8.5 or so, right? So, but I also see that her pictures are pretty appropriate, and she doesn't have any tattoos. So now, when I message girls who are just regular girls, 6 or 7s or whatever, I usually say, "Hey, how was your weekend? Did you do anything fun? Just something, nice and polite." But with really good-looking women, I always try to start with something that no other men start, right? Because you have to set yourself aside. So you kind of challenge them right away. So in this case, I said, "Oh, so you don't have any tattoos at all?" Right? So right away, she's like, "No, why?" Now I got to tell you, women used to actually appreciate this. Just like, "Oh, someone's challenging me. There's actually some man with some masculine energy, not a simp," right? Nowadays, they don't even fucking know what it is. They go like, "Whoa, whoa, what the fuck? You started without giving me a million compliments and offering to pay for my coffee today? Like, I don't even understand what's happening," right? So even here in Thailand, it's changing. Now, I do have to say that this woman, I ended up realizing, speaks pretty good English. So, which is a red flag for me. Women who speak English here are essentially the same as American women. They're a little bit more polite, and of course, you spend less money on drinks for them. But for a long-term relationship, it's a no-go. But I didn't realize it at that time, and also I decided to run this experiment all the way to the end because I knew I would get a really good story out of it. So she said no. I said, well, it's kind of rare for women to not have tattoos. And she's like, well, why are you asking? So she got a little defensive. I smoothed it out. So I started talking a little bit, but I said, hey, listen. Oh, she said, do you have Instagram? I'm like, yeah, but here we use WhatsApp and Line. Line is the app that every Thai girl has. She's like, well, my Line, I don't really use it as much. I have so many promotions and spam. I was like, okay, all right, fine, I'll play. So I was like, here, I'll find you on Instagram. Found her on Instagram. Got access. Nothing but bikini pictures. Nothing like slutty, but a lot of bikini pictures. And I was like, hey, listen, I thought you told me you're looking for a relationship, but your profile looks like, you're just trying to get a male following to maybe make money out of it. She's like, oh, well, if that's what you think, that's very negative of you. I said, listen, I'm just trying to get to know you, but I look at your profile. It's nothing but, you're pretty much, naked. I said, well, she said, my boyfriend took these pictures, before we broke up. I was like, oh God, no, she dated a simp. Okay. I said, was your boyfriend a foreigner? She's like, yes. I'm like, fuck yeah. These motherfuckers, these guys come here and fucking ruin this women immediately by simping, right? Just immediately by simping. And I was like, all right, okay, now I'll play, right? If that's the only thing, I can always tell her, listen, if you want to date me seriously, you're gonna have to remove those pictures. You won't be taking any more of these, right? Because again, they weren't like super slutty, right? They were just kind of like, hey, I had a nice day at the beach and here I am afterwards, not like, look at my boobs, and there's a Ferrari behind me. I was like, all right, okay, all right, we'll deal with it later, right? So I said, hey, why don't, and I always do this, I said, why don't we continue this conversation tomorrow over coffee? And she goes like, well, I have a day off tomorrow, but I don't know if I'm going to feel this way, blah blah blah. I said, I was like, listen, let me just officially invite you and you can say yes or no. So I said, how about we'll grab coffee at this coffee shop at this time tomorrow? And she already asked me where I lived because it doesn't matter which neighborhood you live here. So she replies with a voice message. And by the way, by then I actually spoke a little bit of Thai to her and showed her my Thai channel where I speak Thai in my videos. So she knows I'm not, one of those foreigners who come here, get a holiday girlfriend and bail, right? That I'm here. I love the culture. I appreciate the culture. I speak a little bit of Thai, right? That's very rare. Just so you guys know, it is very rare. So so I already established some. I already set myself aside from like 99% of foreigners, right? So At this point, she should want to go out on a date with me. And she goes like, see, this is what I hate about men. They always want to meet where it's convenient to them. I said, okay, I understand your point, but I have to tell you that a lot of women here don't show up to dates at all or run so late that I just leave. So I just not going to, get somewhere just to be stood up. And on top of that, I'm sorry, if you want to date a guy who has any value, we are busy. We're busy men. We have businesses, we have friends, we travel, we have events to attend to, and so forth and so forth. We're busy men. If you want to date a man like me, you're going to have to come to me. I'm sorry. Right now, you would think at this point, the girl, and a lot of them do say, okay, yeah, no, I understand, And she said, no, I don't think we're a good match. Best of luck to you. Right. And I said, all good, right? Now let's break this down, and this goes to the sort of what we're talking about with this video with this girl, right? So women who are good looking, or at least looked at as good looking by men, just get fucking ruined by these fucking simps who will simp for them no matter where in the world the girl is, right? So this girl, when I gave her some masculine energy and challenged her in my first message, like women used to, didn't even really understand what's happening. On top of that, she's really that spoiled that she doesn't even understand. Like, I broke it down to her. I said, listen, you want to date a man who's got some value? Yeah, the guy's going to be busy, right? You would think that would appeal to her, the natural selection type of an argument. No, I like when the guy simps for me, right? That's essentially her answer, right? I'd rather have a simp. That's where we're at, gentlemen. Women who are very good looking would rather have a simp because they don't even know what this masculinity is, right? They don't understand the value. They don't understand that a man who simps essentially is a loser, because if the guy has all this time in the world, who's wants to meet a girl so badly that he's willing to waste all of this time on what we know is a losing cause most of the time, right? You either, out of your money for free dinner, or the girl doesn't show up. You have to sit like a bitch for an hour to wait for her as she's running late, running other errands, all of these things. So these women who are 8 and 9 time, they don't even understand masculinity. They do not understand the real value of a man anymore, right? They just understand compliments, simping, and money. So honestly, in my case, I rarely do this because a lot of times these women also end up to be actual hookers. So, but here it is, yet another proof. And I am in Thailand. I am in Thailand, one of the last places on earth where you still have decent, submissive, traditional, family-oriented women, okay? In America, you guys have no fucking choice whatsoever. If you want to ditch modern women and move abroad for more traditional relationships, go to themillionmanproject.com, take my most comprehensive course, and change your life.